Nearly 3 months after Jurassic World's closing, the dinosaurs of Isla Nublar are now roaming freely around the island. With the Indominus Rex finally gone, peace is now restored on Nublar, or so they thought. Rexy hadn't been the same since her fight with the Indominus Rex, and the battle made her realize that she isn't as strong as she once was. She remembered the good old days when she was in her prime, putting raptors in their place, but now things are different. Times are changing, Rexy's getting older, and she's thinking about settling down. Problem is, she's the only T-Rex on the island, and even if there was another, she may now be too old to have kids of her own. However, she didn't want that to stop her from making the most of what little time she may have left. So Rexy decided to build a nest in hopes of at least making herself more comfortable. As she was building her new home, Rexy had a slight feeling that something wasn't right. The wind was blowing, the leaves were rustling, and things were changing. Then a huge storm hit the island, and all the dinosaurs were forced to take shelter until the storm passed. Rexy was forced to hunker down in her old enclosure, and that's when the trouble began. The rain was so heavy, she couldn't see anything. That is until she started seeing a strange figure in front of her. Due to the bad weather, Rexy couldn't make out what it was. Then she heard familiar roaring. Was it? No, it couldn't be. Maybe her mind was just playing tricks on her. Later that night, the rain stopped, and Rexy thought it was finally over. So she put her head down and tried to fall asleep. Then she heard the noise again, and the figure reappeared. This time, Rexy could see it much clearer, and it was none other than the Indominus Rex. But wait a minute, how is that possible? The Mosasaurus dragged that thing down into the lagoon and killed it. Maybe it was her old age catching up to her, but she shouldn't be hallucinating, right? However, Rexy wouldn't be the only one going through this. Meanwhile, Blue took shelter in the old abandoned visitor center to get out of the rain. While there, she discovered the bones from the original Jurassic Park raptors and got a little nervous. Then Blue started hallucinating a little. She saw 3 figures standing in front of her. They looked like her siblings, but that couldn't be right. Charlie died in an explosion, and Delta and Echo were killed by the Indominus Rex. Speaking of which, a 4th figure appeared behind the raptors, and it was the Indominus Rex. Blue raced out of the visitor center and tried to hide somewhere in the jungle, but everywhere she went, they were there. Meanwhile, Rexy was freaking out too, as she kept seeing the Indominus Rex. The two bumped into each other, and the 4 figures surrounded them. The raptors charged at Blue, and the Indominus at Rexy. And then, out of nowhere, they disappeared. Rexy and Blue were confused as they looked at each other. By that time, it was the next morning and the sun was just rising over the horizon. The Rex and Raptor went their separate ways and haven't seen the figures since. It's as if it was a reminder that there will always be danger lurking and that there is no such thing as safe. At least, as long as humanity continues to interfere with the dinosaurs.